Peace. All right, so you're not going to see many um, why not hadith videos for me. I think we like the Quran only community does why you shouldn't do hadith all the time. Why hadith is wrong all the time. But I wanted to do this one because I'm reading Quran, and when you see how Allah says why not to do hadith, when you see how Allah um, talks about the hadithers, it's way better. It's way better what the way Allah says it. Um, and it's like whoa, because the hadithers have a humiliating punishment ahead of them. And I'm not talking like I mean like Allah's putting it in our he puts it in our face that this generation, the hadithers, are gonna be humiliated. Um, let's see what we're talking about. So I started reading Surah 31 of the Quran. They call this Surah Luqman. When you read it, you see that Allah is showing us how you get the answers in the Quran. Like, He gives us questions to ask, and you ask Him the question, and He's going to give you the answer in a beautiful way. So let's start reading Surah Luqman, and I'll take you kind of through what happened as I was reading it. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. In the name of Allah, the Almighty, the Merciful. Alif Lam Mim. Those are the proofs of the wise writ, a guidance and a mercy for the doers of good, those who uphold the duty and render the purity, and of the hereafter are certain. Those are upon guidance from their Lord. And it is they who are the successful. So right away when I read this, just those 5 ayahs, I thought, this sounds very familiar. Allah calls this book the Remembrance, and He asks, is there any that will remember? So like when you read and something sounds familiar, remember what you read before, you know? So I was thinking about where I read this before. And I just finished making some videos on it. So it's like, oh, this is the beginning of the book. And we had a ton of questions from the beginning of the book. So let's see. Move me over here. Surah 2. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Alif Lam Mim. That is the writ about which there is no doubt, a guidance to those of prudent fear, those who believe in the unseen and uphold the duty, and of what we have provided them they spend. And those who believe in what was sent down to thee and what was sent down before thee, and of the hereafter they are certain. Those are upon guidance from their Lord, and it is they who are the successful. Okay, that's, hold on. I'm gonna move me back over here where you guys used to see me. There we go. It's basically the same thing. Let's look at it side by side. So side by side. Alif Lam Mim, Alif Lam Mim. First 5 ayahs, he gives the characteristics of the successful. Oh, before we get into that, so let's go one by one. Alif Lam Mim, Alif Lam Mim. Those are the proofs of the wise writ. That is the writ about which there is no doubt. a guidance to those of prudent fear, a guidance and a mercy for the doers of good. It's familiar. Those who believe in the unseen and uphold the duty, and of what we have provided them, they spend. Those who uphold the duty and render the purity, and of the hereafter they are certain. And those who believe in what was sent down to thee, and what was sent down before thee, and of the hereafter they are certain. Those are upon guidance from their Lord. It is they who are the successful. Those are upon guidance from their Lord, and it is they who are the successful. All right, so clearly Allah is referencing back to this section. Like in Surah 31, the first 5 ayahs, you read them, Allah is like, He's giving you the signpost. He's like, yo, go back. There's something back there. So we found what was back there. And in this section here, what we saw before, what we read before, and what we learned is that Allah has given us a description, a general description that covers everybody that exists of the 3 types of people. The first type of people are those who are the successful, the people who are on the right path, those who are guided. And as we read, we saw the second group of people, the people that they're cursed. It doesn't matter whether you warn them or you don't warn them. They don't care either way. So they're cursed. And we got the third group of people, those who are astray. Those who are astray, that was a scary group. That was a dangerous group. That group of people, if I remember right, that group of people, they say they believe, but they don't really believe. They mock the believers. They act like they're believers, but they're not really believers. They're trying to make fun of the believers. But in reality, God is making fun of them. He's mocking them. So that's what we got out of that part, out of that section there. Let's go back to 31 and see what Allah was telling us to begin with. Let's go back to where we originally were. And among men is he who purchases the diversion of narration to lead astray from the path of God without knowledge, and takes it in mockery. Those have a humiliating punishment. So I remember we had a question. We had a question in this section that this almost seems to answer. So let's go back and look at this section and see if this next ayah lines up at all. I'm going to just go back to the video. Let's go back to the video of it and we'll watch it and go from there. In this series, we're looking at the 3 types of people in the Quran according to Allah. In the last video, we continued with the characteristics of the 3rd type of people, those who are astray. The additional information that we learned about this type of people is that they cause corruption in the land while thinking that they're setting it right. They're arrogant, and they think they're wiser than mankind. They mock mankind. They partner with the Satans. Allah mocks them and guides them further into error. And they trade guidance for misguidance, so they're not guided. So far, Allah spent the most time on this type of person, which makes sense because this is literally the scariest path of all. Because if you're on it, you probably don't know you're on it. And even worse, you probably think you're on the right path. Also, for a believer that wants to be guided, it's important to be aware of this type of people because they want to trick the believers and take them away from the guidance. This is the most dangerous type of people because they're trying to imitate the believers. So on the outside, it looks like they're believers, but really they're not. So the question is, how can the believers not be fooled? How can the believers not get tricked by this type of people? Well, Allah gave us their distinguishing characteristics. The thing that clearly separates the astray from those that are favored. And we touched on it in the last video. These people, they trade guidance for misguidance. That's their characteristic. That's the thing. That's their distinguishing mark. Back in ayah 16, Allah said, "Those are they who bought error at the price of guidance, so their transaction profited not, and they were not guided." These people trade guidance for error. That's how you tell them apart from real believers. Now, this gives us more questions. First, we know that the book is guidance, but the question is, what is the error? Like, that was the question. That was the question. What is error? So when we were reading this, all right, we know that this group of people, they trade the guidance for error. They not just trade, they buy error using guidance. So they give away their guidance to take in the error. But what's the error? Aha. That's what Allah is talking about over here in Surah 31. And among men is he who purchases the diversion of narration to lead astray from the path of God without knowledge. Okay, so that we know that the over here. Let's go back to Surah 2. Move this. Move me out. All right, we back in Surah 2. Let's go to 16. I think that was those who bought air. That was the ayah we were looking at. Those who bought air. Okay. This one says those. In 31, it says, "Among men is he who purchases air." So we're talking about people. One person buys air, and the other person purchases. In English, it sounds like it's the same thing, but it's not the same words used. In Arabic, let's highlight again. Arabic's not super hard. I'm not that great at Arabic, but it's like if you look at it enough, you start seeing things that just look the same. So let's look. Alladhi, I know that's those. Those who, or who. This word though. Ush, Ushtarahu. Ushtarahu. Okay. That's the word for bulk. That's the word they're using there for bulk. Let's see about here what word we're using for purchases. Wamen, Wamen and Nas. So from men, who, men, Yashtari. Okay, that's the same word. Look, I don't know Arabic, but that's the same word. Like, look at it. Look at it. That's the same word, man. Like, maybe it's a different tense, or maybe it's a different uh, I don't know, but that's the same word. So those who bought air, it looks like Allah is answering our question of what the air they buy is. Al hadith, hadith, hadith. That's what they buy. And among men is he who purchases the diversion of hadith to lead astray from the path of God without knowledge. What is the path of God? Just he already told us what the path of God is. It's what he sent down. What those who are successful are. The writ, the path of God. So these people give up the writ for the hadith. They give up al-kitab for al-hadith. And they take the writ in mockery. All right, well, let's look around at the people who do hadith right now, all over the world, especially all over the world right now. Do they take the writ in mockery? Have they given up the writ, the book, al-kitab, and exchanged it for al-hadith? I think the answer is clear. Hold on, let me open this back up a little bit. I think the answer is clear. Like, that's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious. The people, the hadithers of the world, they, if you bring up following the Quran alone, they're going to laugh at you. They're going to make fun of you. They're going to take you in mockery. They take that path in mockery. So what's the end result of them taking that path in mockery? Those have a humiliating punishment. There's a whole rabbit hole we can go down, but look at the world today. Look at the whole world today. Look at what's going on in the world today. The hadithers are being set up for a humiliating punishment. If you want to know how, don't ask me. Read the book. It's a straight path. A lot of you. He's not sending you nowhere else to get his knowledge but al-kitab. So go to the book. Peace.